Once you get clear about what you want specifically, the second step is to develop a strategy to reach your goal or to move towards your goal. And like I said, the best way to do it is to begin to find someone who has already produced the result you want to produce and model that person's strategy. Or better still, model the strategy of a few people who have achieved that goal. And what you do is you combine it to create a super strategy which you can use. The third step to the ultimate success formula is this. You have to then use this strategy and to take consistent action. The trouble with most people is that they may know what they should do and they may even know how to do it, and yet they still don't do anything to it. See, many people don't take action because of procrastination or fear, and that's what holds most people back. And when you go out there and you take lots of action, which is step 3, there are two things that can possibly happen to you. The first is you move towards your goal, or you hit your goal, and we call this success. But we know that life is not so simple, right? You don't always get success. In fact, most of the time when you take action, you don't always get what you want, you get something else. And we all call this failure. Now, does failure happen to everybody? Of course it does. In fact, the more action you take in life, the more likely you are to experience failure. That is why people who succeed and experience a lot of success fail more than anyone else since they take so much action. But what separates people who enjoy success from the majority who end up frustrated is how we respond to failure. It's what we do about failure that makes the difference. In fact, if I look around, and if you look around, you can always find that there are 3 kinds of people, or there are 3 ways in which people deal with failure. The first group of people, when they experience failure, they look at it and say, I failed because I'm not good enough. I failed because it was just too difficult. And they begin to make excuses, they begin to blame everyone except themselves, they start complaining, and guess what? They give up. They say, well, it didn't work, let's forget about it, the stupid goal didn't work, and they go for something else. That's the first group. What does the second group do? The second group, when they experience failure, they may say, well, I failed not because I'm not good enough or it's too difficult, but I failed because I didn't put in enough effort. So I'll try harder next time. So what they do? They take more action, they try harder next time. If they try again and they still don't get a result, what do they do? Yep, they try again. If they don't get a result again, what do? They try again. If they don't get a result, what do? They keep trying and trying. Now, will they eventually hit their goal? Well, if they target small, little, puny goals, yeah, they will hit it. But if they were to set extremely exceptional high goals, it's rarely they'll hit it. They will improve by taking so much action and trying hard, but they'll never hit those targets they want to hit. They'll never live the kind of life they want to live. The reason is this. They keep on taking more action, but they don't change their strategy. In other words, if you do the same thing the same way, you're going to produce the same result. And these people, after a while, they begin to get really frustrated. I've seen so many salespeople and so many business people who fall in this category that whenever a business venture fails or whenever they don't produce the kind of sales results they want, they keep working more hours, they work harder, they try and see more people, and they may try new things, but more or less they keep within their comfort zone of doing the same things the same old way. So after a while, these people become extremely disillusioned. They say, what the heck, I've tried everything, I've tried so hard, but nothing seems to improve. And they start to get very cynical. They look at people who really experience lots of success in their life and say, wow, these people are just lucky. These people were just there at the right place at the right time, and they were just born under a lucky star. I could never do that. I've tried everything. And when these people attend my training sessions, especially the ones who are a lot more mature, the most common excuse they give me is this. They say, Adam, all these things you talk about, I've tried everything, and I've got about 10 years experience in this business, and so I think I know it doesn't work. But I always say to these people that you don't have 10 years experience in this business. You actually have 1 year experience, but your 1 year experience is 10 years old, because for the last 10 years you've been doing the same thing the same way. So ask yourself this question: are you or the people around you exhibiting the first 2 patterns of either giving up or doing the same thing the same way until you get frustrated and you eventually give up at the end of it anyway? So what does the third group of people do? What is their pattern? See, the third group of people respond to failure very differently. In fact, they don't even see it as failure. Whenever they don't reach their outcome, they say, I didn't fail, I just got a feedback. And my feedback is that I used the wrong strategy. See, because they look at it as feedback and they don't look at it as failure, guess what? Do they feel bad? No, they don't. They don't get demoralized. Their state doesn't change. They still feel empowered. They still feel motivated. They still feel enthusiastic. Because to them, it's feedback. And these people have what we call reflective intelligence. They're able to notice what went wrong with the strategy. And they also have what we call behavioral flexibility. In other words, they have the ability to consistently change their behavior and do whatever it takes to take action again and again until they get the result they want. No matter how many times it takes, they'll keep adjusting and changing their strategy until they get what they want. Now, I believe when you keep getting feedback and you change your strategy enough times, guess what? Eventually, you are going to reach your goal. And so from this part of the ultimate success formula, we say that there are two more guiding principles that you have to take note of. The second guiding principle or presupposition is this: there's no failure in life, there's only feedback. There's no failure in life, there's only feedback. And the third presupposition is what we call the law of requisite variety. So what is the law of requisite variety? The law of requisite variety says that as long as you continually are flexible enough to change your strategy, you eventually get what you want. That's what it means. Let me tell you how I've applied it to my life and to help a lot of people in the area of parenting apply it to their kids. Recently I had a parent who came up to me and she said, Adam, I don't know what to do with my son. I've tried everything, nothing seems to work. He always demands a toy and I always give in. And I say, what have you done? And she says, well, I've tried everything. And I said, everything? How many things have you tried? And she said, well, it could have been 1,000,000 things. I said, 1,000,000 things? Are you sure? And she looks at me and she said, well, just maybe a few hundred things. And I said, well, list down the few hundred things you've tried. So she looks at me and she says, maybe it's just 2 things. Alright? So very often that's the same thing that happens to us in our life. We aim for a goal and we use one strategy, we use the second strategy, and after 2 times we give up and we say we've tried everything. But in truth, we have not really tried everything, have we? So I look at her and said, what have you tried? And she said, well, I've tried the soft approach. Whenever I bring him to Toys R Us and he says, Mom, I want that toy. And I say, you can't have the toy. And try and reason with him. It doesn't work. He keeps throwing his tantrum. He starts shouting away until everyone looks at him. And eventually I have to buy the toy for him. So I said, well, what else have you done? And she said, well, I've tried a hard approach. I said, what's that? And she says, every time he wants a toy, I'll tell him, I'll look at him sternly and say, you can't have the toy. I just bought you a toy last week. And he looked back and said, Mom, give me the toy. I demand a toy. And he starts throwing his tantrum. He starts shouting and all that. And at first I wouldn't give him a toy, but he keeps whining and complaining and shouting until eventually, to get some peace in the house, I eventually give in to him. And she says, I don't want him to grow up having a temper like that, knowing that he can manipulate me, but I really don't know what to do at this stage. What can I do? And I said, you just have to be more flexible. And she says, what else can I do? I've tried everything. I said, you have not. And I looked at her and I whispered in her ear and said, go back and do this. So she hears my advice. She goes back and she does this thing I asked her to do. She comes back the next day and she said, Adam, it worked. I said, what do you mean? And she says, he has stopped throwing his tantrum and he's never lost his temper ever since, and I didn't have to buy the toy. So would you like to know what I told him? Very simple, or rather what did I tell the mom? I told the mom this. I said, be extremely flexible. Be more flexible than your son. The next time your son throws a tantrum, throw the tantrum before he throws the tantrum. So what she did was she went back home, and sure enough, the boy comes and, Mom, can I go to Toys R Us to buy this toy? And the mom says, no, you can't. And he starts looking at her, and she starts going, Mom, I want a toy. And what mom does is mom looks back, and mom starts, oh, why must you keep asking me for a toy? You always ask me a toy. I'm fed up. Why you ask me a toy? Ah! And the mom keeps going, throwing her tantrum, and she does exactly what he does, and she starts mirroring him. And this guy has a stunned look in his face of what is my mom up to? Alright? And the next day he looks back and he asks, but Mom, I just want a toy. And she says, no, why must you always ask me a toy? I'm really sick of having a toy. She starts screaming and yelling and throwing a tantrum and flinging her legs in the air. And eventually he looks at her and he says, never mind. Mom, it's okay. And he walks away. And it's interesting because many people have come to the Patterns of Excellence program, heard this story, they went back, they tried the same thing with their kid, and guess what? Phenomenal results. They were able to build rapport with the kid at a level where the kid would not throw their tantrums anymore. Why don't you go and test it out if you have a kid at home? So back to the ultimate success formula. So if it's so easy to achieve success, we just have to set our goals, create a strategy, take action, and if we don't get what we want, we just change our strategy until we get what we want. If that is all there is to succeed, why doesn't everybody do this? Now, say there are 3 main reasons that drive us beyond our goals. There are 3 reasons that determine whether or not we'll set those goals, whether or not we'll change our strategy. The first thing that affects us is our beliefs. Now, you will learn later on in one of the CDs that your beliefs are like the operating system to your brain. They determine almost everything in your life. When you believe that something is possible, guess what? You set a target to go achieve it. If you believe that it's possible to earn $1 million, you set a goal to earn $1 million. If you don't believe you can possibly achieve anything beyond the average, you won't even dare set the goal. So the beliefs drive the goals you have. What you believe determines what you want. Your beliefs also determine what you do when you encounter failure. In other words, if you believe that you are stupid, for example, if you believe that things are just too difficult, will you change your strategy? No. When you get failure, you just give up and blame everyone else because you may have believed that it was not your fault. The second thing that affects us are our life values. Your values are the emotional states that you move towards and away from. They're the things that really drive our behavior every single day. And we're going to talk a lot more about values in the later CD program. But know this, If your values are in conflict with your goals, or your values are in conflict with your behaviors every single day, you will not consistently get what you want. So values are the second component that drives the ultimate success formula. The third component is another form of belief, and it's a belief of who you are and what you stand for, and this is your identity. In other words, do you believe you deserve success, or do you believe that you're just an average person? What is your identity? Who do you think you are? Do you believe you're someone who's exceptional? Do you believe that you're a champion, you're a winner, or do you believe you're someone who's a loser? So again, your beliefs, your identity, and your values drive what you want in your life. They drive your strategies, they drive your actions, and they determine what you do when you fail. And this is called the ultimate success formula. So again, if you study people who have achieved phenomenal success, you'll find one thing to be true. They would use this ultimate success formula. For example, have you heard of this company, Creative Technologies? You know, it's a $1 billion company and the first Singapore company to be listed on NASDAQ. Its founder, Sim Wong-Hoo, grew up in a very poor family of about 12 siblings. His father was a laborer who earned less than $200 a month. Did he use the ultimate success formula? You bet he did. See, Sim Wong-Hoo graduated from Nanyang Polytechnic. And for most people with just a polytechnic diploma, making a living with about just $1,500 would make them pretty happy. But what made Sim Wong-Hoo different was that he had a very different set of beliefs and values. And he saw himself very differently, he had a different identity. He didn't see himself as just another polytechnic student, but he saw himself as someone who was able to accomplish a lot more. He saw someone who was able to create a lot more value. So these beliefs and these values and this identity caused him to get very clear on what he wanted. And he set a goal. He set a goal to make $1 million in 5 years. And it was this specific goal that got him to start developing all kinds of strategies that no one else thought of. He came up with this idea of the Cubic 99, which was Singapore's first personal computer. So he took his strategy and ran with it. He took massive action. He wrote the business plan, he attracted investors and built up the company and its products. So what was the outcome? Did he get his goal? Did he move towards what he wanted? No, it was a major disaster. The idea was a total failure. But what he did was he took that as feedback and he changed his approach. He came up with another strategy, a new innovation. Again, it suffered a major flop. So he kept changing his strategy over and over again until he finally came out with one idea. And the idea was called the Sound Blaster or the Sound Card. It was that one idea that built Creative Technologies into a $1 billion company. With this one idea, he became a multi-millionaire instantly. See, for many people, when I asked them, I said, you know, what product did Sim Wong-Hoo invent? And they said the Sound Blaster. But that's the one that he was famous for. That's the one that got him rich. But many people are not aware or do not see what went on behind the scenes. What became or what went on before that, the trial and error, the changing of strategies until they got what he wanted. So because of that, people tend to jump to conclusions to say that people who succeed tend to have been there at the right place at the right time. They were just lucky. But it's all a matter of consistently changing their strategy. Well, let me share with you how I used this ultimate success formula very recently in this training company. See, when we first came up with the idea of creating the most powerful mental skills training program, the Patterns of Excellence program, we did it because we had strong beliefs and values that supported it. And we set a goal that we will run our first program with 50 people in November of 2002. We developed the entire strategy of how we would market and run the program. The idea was to use newspaper advertisements that I would write to get people to attend our free previews. So I used the new headlines, I used very interesting copy text to get people to read the ad and come down for the preview. We would then give them an impressive presentation to convince people to sign up immediately. So did we set our goal? Yes. Did we have a strategy? Yes. Did we take massive action? You bet we took massive action. We placed the ad, we booked the seminar room and waited for the response. So what happened? Well, over 100 people turned up for the preview. So Stuart and myself went up and we gave the best presentation we came up with. You know, we used our strategy. And when the show was over, guess what? We got feedback, alright. Only one person signed up. Talk about total failure. But as you said, there's no failure, there's only feedback. Now let me ask you this question. What would most people have done at that point after spending thousands of dollars on the ad, booking the seminar room and coming up with the whole program only to have one person sign up when about, I would say, 15 to 20 were expected to sign up that night? You're right, most people would just give up. And not only would they give up, most people would come up with all kinds of reasons why it didn't work out. They'll blame everyone else, they'll come up with all kinds of excuses. And the interesting thing is this is what my staff did. Immediately when one person signed up, one of my staff came to me and he said, Adam, you know why one person signed up? And I said, why? He said, because of the recession. Nobody in his right mind will sign up for a $2,000 program at a recession like this when everyone is holding on to their job. So It's not our fault, it's just a recession, bad luck. Let's think of something completely different. Let's forget this stupid idea. So a second person comes up to me again, another one of my staff, and says, well, Adam, I don't think it's a recession. I think the reason they didn't sign up was because I think you look too young. I mean, after all, you're only 29 years old, and these people are 35 and 40 years old. I don't think they trust you, and I think that's the reason they didn't sign up. And the third staff came out and said, well, Adam, I don't think it's your age, and I don't think it's a recession, but I think they didn't sign up because the geomancy or the feng shui in this room is bad. And your stars are not aligned on something like that. And he said that's why no one signed up. Alright. Now guess what? The 3 reasons these people gave me, were they in my control? No, they were just blaming other people, just excuses. I couldn't change the way I looked. I couldn't change the recession. And I certainly can't change the geomancy. And I can't change my astrological sign. So there's no point focusing and harping on things which you can't change. So I began to ask myself this question together as steward. We asked ourselves this. We said, how could we have used this as feedback and change our strategy? Why didn't they sign up? So what we did was we went out there and we began to email these people who came for the preview and asked them this question. Did you like the preview? And if you liked it, why didn't you sign up? And from all the responses, we began to come up with a whole list of objections they had in their head. It was too expensive. The program was too long. It was the wrong time. And from there, guess what we did? We totally changed our presentation strategy. We changed the language patterns we use. We changed the way in which we would reframe the objections. After changing the entire strategy, we ran the preview again the following week. We put the same ad, but this time when the people came in, the total presentation was different. We used a different strategy of presentation. We used a different strategy of reframing objections. Guess what happened? 16 people signed on the spot. Wow, what a massive increase. But we were not satisfied. After the 16 people signed up, again, Stuart and I sat down and said, how can we change our strategy and convert even more people? So again, we went back, we changed our strategy. We had behavioral flexibility. The next preview we had 2 weeks after that, 25 people signed up. And the next preview, the number increased again and again. Of course, it increased to a certain plateau. But the point is this. When you don't get what you want, stop blaming things which you can't control. Stop making excuses for yourself which you can't control. Stop complaining. But look at the strategy and see how can I change it until I get what I want. So am I suggesting that you use the ultimate success formula in your life right now? Of course! It applies to virtually every area of your life, in your relationships, in your career, in your health, and in your sports, for example, if you play sports. There's however a way to shorten the whole process. Again, instead of changing your strategy over and over again until you get the result you want, you can shorten the process by again eliciting and duplicating the strategy of someone who has already achieved the result you want. So you tap into their experience, you use their mistakes to create the result you want a lot quicker. Instead of reinventing the wheel, tap on other people's experience, which they may have taken years to perfect through trial and error. Through the power of modeling, again, you can take someone who exhibits patterns of excellence in a particular area, elicit their strategy and use it to create the same level of success as they have. Only you may take 3 months what it took 6 years of them to improve. See, this is exactly what I did. The reason why I've been able to produce excellent results in writing, in giving seminars, in making money and advertising is not because I was born talented and lucky, no. What I did was to find excellent role models. I then elicit their strategy and use it for myself and continually refine my ultimate success formula until I got what I wanted. But knowing the ultimate success formula is one thing. Let me ask you another question. Are you committed to succeed? That's right. Think about that question. Are you committed to succeed? See, very often in my seminars, I always ask people, how many of you are committed to succeed? And very often, not many people put up their hands, only a couple. But what I found out in life is this. In life, only 5% of the people I've met are truly committed to get the results they want in life, are truly committed to succeed. Now, does it mean to say that the 95% of the people don't want to succeed? Of course not. Everybody wants to succeed. But the difference is the 95% of people, they want to succeed. They wish to succeed. They hope to succeed. They prefer to succeed. They would like to succeed. They think they should succeed. But guess what? They are not committed to succeed. And commitment is the difference that makes a difference. So what's the difference? The difference is when you're committed to do something, it becomes a must. It's not a should, it's not a could, it's not a I would like to, it's a must. Because when something is a must for you, you operate from a very different frame of mind. When something's a must, guess what? You will do whatever it takes to get it done, provided it's ethical, it's legal and it's moral. Unfortunately, many people don't work from this frame of mind. Most people only wish to succeed, so they only do things as long as it is within their comfort zone, as long as they feel comfortable, as long as it's not too painful. And every time you push them beyond their comfort zone, guess what they'll do? They'll keep within their comfort zone by giving you a lot of excuses. They say, I can't do it because I don't have the time, I don't have the energy, I don't have the money, I don't have the resources. I'm not young enough, for example. So ask yourself this question truly: am I really committed to succeed? Because if you think about it, in the last 10, 15, 20 years of your life, have you ever wanted to do something but you put it off and you eventually got it done? Why? Because when you put it off at that time, it was not a must yet. But eventually you got it done because the deadline drew near and it became a must then, right? But were there also things in your life in the past when you always wanted to do but you put off and you never got around to doing it? For example, writing a book or starting a business. Why? Because it never became a must. So the trick is this: whatever you really want to achieve in your life, make it a must. And the way to make it a must is to put yourself on the line. In other words, don't just commit to yourself and say, I promise to do it, but make a public commitment. Let me give you an example of what I did recently to do this. How do I make things a must? See, I've always told myself that I want to write a book on the patterns of excellence. And I've been saying that for the last 2 years, but guess what? Nothing has happened. You know why? Because every time I tell myself I'm going to do it, something always comes out. And I always put it off and never gets done because it was not a must. So what I did recently was pretty cool. About 6 months ago, my partner came up to me and says, Adam, do you really want to get a book out? I said, yes. And he says, Adam, you know what to do. Go do it. So what I did was I stood up in front of a whole audience, about 500 people, and I told them this. I said, come to my seminar at the end of the year and we're going to give you a copy of my new book. And at the end of the year, I'm doing a big seminar for about 3,000 people, and on all the brochures and all the tickets, it's printed that Adam Khoo's new book is going to be launched. Now, why did I do that? Because I literally put myself on the line. Now, I haven't written the book yet, but I am now for the first time. Why? Because I have to deliver. I've got no choice. So the trick in life is this: whatever you definitely want to achieve, make it a must by putting yourself on the line where you got no choice but to get it done. This is the same strategy I used when I was in Ping Yi Secondary School. When I was at the bottom of my school and I told myself that I want to be the #1 student, I told everybody about it. I went to school, I told my teachers, I told my friends. In fact, I found those people in my life who were the most big mouth people. And I told them because I knew that they'd tell everyone else. Why? Because the minute I did that, I couldn't back out anymore. Everybody would look at me in a certain way and says, well, what happened to your #1 position? Now, even if I didn't reach #1, would it matter? The answer is no. As long as I've shown phenomenal improvement from where I was before, I'll be happy enough. But the point was, I want to put myself on the line. So let me ask you this question. How would you make things a must in your life? How would you put it on the line? So to end this audio session, what I want you to do is this. I want you to commit to do something. Grab a piece of paper or grab your journal and grab a pen and do this. Take a look at the different areas of your life, in your relationships, in your career, in the area of your health, or in the area of your studies if you're still a student, and ask yourself this question. In what area can I begin to apply the ultimate success formula to get specific on what I want, to develop a strategy, and to take action, and to continue to change my strategy until I succeed? Look also at all the things in the past when you failed to get. Were you pattern person #1 where you gave up? Were you pattern #2 where you just tried the same thing again and again, you didn't get a result? Or did you follow pattern #3 of changing your strategy? And if you didn't follow pattern #3, it's time to do it now. The other part of your homework assignment I want you to do is this. Take a look at the different parts of your life and ask yourself this question. How can I make it a must? How can I commit myself and put myself on the line where I've got no choice but to do it? And what you see in the next few CDs and the rest of the program will focus on the different areas of the ultimate success formula, where we'll talk in depth about your beliefs, we'll talk about your values, we'll talk about your goals, we'll talk about how to duplicate someone's strategy, and we'll talk about how to get yourself to take action by consistently putting yourself in a state of power like motivation and confidence. At the same time, how do we consistently change our strategy? So with that, I wish you all the best, and I'll see you in the following CDs. Commit to following and finishing this whole program, not just once, but a few times. And listen to it, and it's something you can go back to again and again to continuously empower yourself and help you get what you want in your life. So I wish you all the very best, and I'll see you in the following CDs.